Hey, what's up, witches? It's me, Luna. Mercury is freshly retrograde as I shoot this, and I have been up from an obscene hour really early this morning because my brain just refused to sleep last night. So I hope that you're sleeping well and that you're rested and that you're ready for an unboxing of another birthday deck. This came from my daughter. This is the Förhäxa, the Enchanted, and I'm assuming with the umlauts that it's like Förhäxa, not Förhäxa. Tarot by M.J. Cullinane, 78 card deck and guidebook of fairies, mermaids, and magic. Now I have the Crow Tarot, I have Guardians of the Night, I have Grimalkin's Curious Cats, all of which were gifts from my friend Tavia, and the Wise Dog Tarot, which was a gift from my friend Allie, my viewer Allie. And so this is another gift deck. I think this is the only author that all of the decks I have of theirs were gifts. So that's pretty special, as are her decks. Get lost in the land of the fairies to find your magic. From the creator of Crow Tarot, this 78-card tarot deck and guidebook invites you to step through a portal into the mystical world of Förhäxa, named for the Swedish word meaning to enchant. So the Enchanted Enchant deck, interesting title, inspired by Norse folktales and fairy lore. The earthy, richly detailed illustrations bring the fairies, mermaids, heroes, and villains of this deck to life. The traditional tarot suits are replaced with fire, water, air, and earth, grounding the power of this deck not in man-made items, but in the foundational elements of nature. All right, $26.99 US from Hay House. So it's how many publishers have put out her decks? Because I thought US Games had one. It's very interesting to see authors and artists like publisher shopping and publishing one deck through this one and one deck through this one, or even the same deck through a couple different publishers. Oh, a wild and magical realm hidden deep in the forest where shadows mingle with sunlight, fairies flutter, and mermaids swim. Oh. Here's the book. We have the same thing that was inside the box lid. And then we have a bio. M.J. Cullinane, a.k.a. Margot Jones, is an award-winning Seattle-based artist, writer, mother, and lover of all things magical, especially crows. She attended Parsons School of Design, yet her unique technique for telling stories through digital collage is self-taught and has been her passion for over 10 years. The award-winning Crow Tarot was her first published deck. When she's not making art or writing, MJ is spending time with her child, playing in nature, practicing magic, and finding new sources of inspiration. All right. This is copyright 2023. I don't have the Urban Crow deck. I think that's the only one of hers I don't have. The ground we walk on, the plants and creatures, the clouds above, constantly dissolving into new formations, each gift of nature possessing its own radiant energy, together by cosmic harmony. That's a quote from Ruth Bernhard. Introduction: preparing to use your deck, card spreads, questions from the major arcana. Then we have major, minors by suit, and about the author. Hello and welcome to the Enchanted Tarot Förhäxa, a word that means bewitched in Swedish. When I set out to create the artwork and the stories for a new tarot deck, my mind drifted to a magical place of fairies and mermaids. However, in my mind, fairies are not the stereotypical diminutive creatures spreading pixie dust, and the mermaids are closer to those found in sailors' stories than Disney's. You will also notice that the fairies and mermaids in this deck present as female. However, each creature is non-binary and possesses feminine and masculine energy. Because of this, you will find that the pronouns within the guidebook are they, them. I really like this because it helps me normalize and train my brain in they, them, which I think is the best solution to everything. You know, neutral is wonderful. The balance of energy, however, is not always equal. For example, the magician holds more masculine qualities while the empress holds more feminine ones. In my world of Förhäxa, traditional gender roles and perceptions are human, and in this world, neither humans nor our ideas around gender roles exist. Okay. My goal when creating the Enchanted Förhäxa Tarot was to draw upon the stories and wisdom of the Tarot while looking toward Nordic and Celtic folklore for inspiration. For example, the Tower was inspired by Ragnarok's story of how the world was destroyed by a series of disasters so that it could resurface, bringing forward new life and possibilities. For the Hierophant, I took a bit of a departure from the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck and thought about how this energy would work in my world of Förhäxa, as they have no priests or churches. I was inspired by the story of the Yggdrasil that grows in a sacred forest. This holy tree connects the 9 worlds. The forest is their church, and the tree represents their past and culture. It has 78 cards. With all my decks, I aim to create a tool that helps you connect with your higher self and divine energy. Okay. Preparing to use your deck. You don't have to read through that. And then we're right into card spreads, so we don't get a lot of setup. And that's fine for me. To use it as an oracle, simply think of a question that can be answered as a yes or no. Shuffle the deck. When you feel that little tug, so shuffle the deck while you focus on your question. When you feel that little tug that lets you know the answer is ready to be revealed, draw your card. So then she lists yes, no, and maybe cards. I really like that. I really, really like that. It's not anything I've ever done, looked at a deck and defined what are yes, no, and maybe, but I think that's a really valuable thing to do. That way, when you're doing a spread, if somebody asks a yes or no question, and you lay things out, you can really give details, but then you can look overall and see what that yes, no, maybe answer is. There's a single card pull, advice. Quick like a fairy spread, we have influencing energy, situation, external influence, and advice. Then we have questions from the major arcana. Okay. The Fool, are you letting the fears or opinions of others prevent you from taking a leap of faith? Wow, immediately I have an example story in my head. The Magician is, what is your magic power and are you using it? The High Priestess, when you tune into the world around you, what do you see, hear, and feel? These are wonderful. Now, yeah, these are really great. Okay, so I want to go back to the Fool question. There was a time when I was working a job at a medical college, and I was the administrative assistant in their anatomy department, which was at one hell of a job, let me tell you. And I was absolutely suffocating. It was a job out of hell. The department I worked in was toxic. It was just, I lived alone. I was self-supporting. I had a new car that I was paying for. It was like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I knew I wanted out. And there came a week where things had just been building to a head. And I left on a Friday to go to lunch. And there was a little shop in Kent called the Rowanwood Tree, which somebody had misheard as the Rolling Witchery because it was a witch store. So I went there and all my little sister witches and granny witches were there. And I was just, bitching and bitching and bitching about this job. And I decided that I couldn't go back. So I called in and said, I really have a headache. I'm not coming back in. And my one precious, precious granny witch, her name was Nimue. And she said, why don't you quit? And I said, I can't. I've got these bills. I have to support myself. I don't know where money would come from. I don't know what, I can't. And she said, sometimes you just have to jump and trust. I will also mention that I had just been initiated the October before, and this was like November. So, yeah. And so I did. I quit the job and things appeared. So anyway, let's look just a little bit further to see how she deals with the cards. So there's the questions, and then we go into the majors, and we don't see We just see paragraphs. We don't see a list of keywords. And the same when we go into the elements or the minors, it is exactly the same. And every once in a while we get a picture. So let's head into the cards. All right. I have to acknowledge my apprehension here because this is a Hay House Tarot deck. It's fucking huge. Look at this. I cannot get my hand all the way around the deck, which means cut shuffling will have to be done this way. And which also means that shuffling altogether is going to be a bit of a bitch. I mean, they do bend, but I do not like this cardstock. All right. Here, and you know, if they were narrower, it would be easier. But this blocky kind of shape and the thick cardstock really make it a challenge. So here's the back, very organic looking. We've got just some you know, simple graphic symbols, a circle within a circle, and very plant-like designs. Now, oh my, look at this, the Fool, and look at how beautiful. I love the horns on the head. I love her artwork. She clearly is so very connected to nature. Look at the bees and the hive. So this little fairy of the hive, and she's sitting there listening to this bird singing to her. It's just beautiful. Do I see the Fool here? Not really. I don't see anything that really indicates taking a leap of faith or a fresh beginning. I just heard launching the hive. So maybe, you know, just beginning in spring, and I mean, we see little blossoms on the trees, so maybe just an image of spring, but I don't really get the Fool of the Tarot. Here's the Magician. And she's got this serpent twined all the way up her body. She's got a sword. There's the wand. There's the pentacle. There's the cup. Okay. Kind of like an eye-looking thing. And there's a crocus. And look at how she... Okay. Ooh. I can see better on the monitor than I can looking down. So you can see that she's sending energy. She's got all the tools. Here's the serpent, you know, and sending energy to make the flowers grow. Manifesting. Okay, that tracks. Here's the High Priestess. She's beautiful. Look at her bat wings and the phases of the moon under her feet. So we've got the trees like the two pillars, and we've got the veil on her head, and her wings kind of look veilish. We have water down below. Beautiful. Here's the Empress. Fertility for sure. The Council of Monarchs is the Emperor. How cool is that? So we don't have like one authoritative figure here. We have the Council. And each of them is represented by an element. Here's the Hierophant. So look at how the Hierophant doesn't just see the surface. The Hierophant knows what's going on underneath. I love it. Here's the Lovers. And there's three of them, so we can't really tell, you know, is it a polycule? Polyamory, I love that. Here's the Chariot. Look at the fire. Wow. Fire and lightning. Certainly movement. There's Strength. With the Dragon. And look, she's just putting this little ball of light between. There's the Hermit. We don't see, I mean, the light is like coming from her. And look at the fishes. There's the Wheel of Fortune. I'm kind of struggling because I'm on such short sleep I am having to key into the words because the images aren't really recognizable in a lot of ways, and so it's left brain challenge, and I have to stop because I am not feeling. Okay, I'm a little better now. I had an energy crash there and I had to stop and eat. So here's Wheel of Fortune, and it's very different than we're used to seeing. We've got, clearly we have a wheel here, there's moon phases, and like the white and the red. There's a lot to look at, that's for sure. Here's Justice. I love the antlers. I like the two doors. So she's holding two swords, and there's two doors. It's just beautiful. Here's the Hanged Man. Look at this creature holding her by the foot. Oh my gosh. I like that we have like butterfly wingy ones and bat wingy ones, and here's Death. Wow. Who does that look like? It looks like somebody anyway. Uh-oh. Oh, and look. Oh. So we see an aspect of Death here that's like caring and beautiful. They're all beautiful. There's Temperance. I mean, the energy kind of rushing down, wings are folded, but there's this. Okay. And there's the Devil. I'm interested that she didn't change names on the cards since the images are so very different. But I mean, that keeps us grounded in the system, right? This kind of flying after gives you the idea of the, temptation that's driven by that feeling of inadequacy. Then we have the Tower. Wow. So is like, I mean, that tree's on fire, but it looks like the earth is splitting open and there's waves and definitely some chaos going on. Here's the Star. Oh, I love irises. So beautifully drawn. And the Moon, I like the reflection here. And again, we see these kind of shadow figures grasping after something. There's the Sun. Judgment. Wow. Wow. There's so much there. So much. And here's the World. It's a beautiful image, but man, I hate those lanterns. Here's the Ace of Fire, so this would be Wands. Again, I love these petal-like wings. And you see her favorite crows. There's the two. There's no doubt that these are wands, and there's things that are reminiscent of the Waite-Smith. There's the 4. And the 5. Thank you for some body diversity. I love this posture. There's the Victory card. And the 7, yeah, look at all these little demons coming after her, but she's just like, no. And there's the 8. And the 9, I love the owl feathers. Look at the eyes in the forest. Very cool. And then the 10. See, I'm not sure what these are up here. Are they leaves or... there's certainly a burden there. Crushing burden. Wow. All right, now we see the quartz. Here's the Page. That's familiar looking. The Knight. So she's kind of doing this, and she's got a snake, but we don't really get the idea of movement. There's the Queen. Oh, I love her. I love this purple. And then the Elder. So we have Page, Knight, Queen, and Elder, who is clearly feminine. We've got a little Thor's hammer up there. So, I mean, that's the first time I've really seen an overt reference to Norse, specific. There's the Ace of Water. And here come the Mer people. The two, they really look like reflections of each other. The three, we certainly get the idea of celebration. And the four, I don't really get the disappointment. We certainly get lost there. And the six with the child. Against body diversity, 7 of water. Well, I mean body diversity, they're mermaids. Ugh. Okay. Look at the butterflies. Oh, they're just so beautiful. There's a softness that's gorgeous. The 9, hey, she looks like me, except for the hair, and she's a mermaid. And there's the 10. Ooh, look how beautiful. Look at the rainbows, the lotuses, everyone smiling and waving and happy, and the irises. Oh, they're just gorgeous. And here's the Page. The Knight. Oh, how interesting. Playing a harp. I always appreciate when music shows up. Okay, instead of a cup, she's got a shell there. Here's the Queen. And the Elder. I do love seeing the people of size in this deck. And you notice that the courts have like a border around them that the others don't. Here's Air. Suit of Swords. So we see the little dragons flying in, and look at this. Wow, is that a warding? 2. They're so very different, each one of the images, but they're so consistent, Look at this, the 3 of Swords. Oh my. And I love these shadow figures that look clearly human. There's the 4. Look at the shed skins. The 5. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, sore winner for sure. And the 6. Look at her holding up a lamp. So you don't really get the idea of her crossing the waters. I mean, she's on a crow, the wings are spread, so she's like shining a light to guide their way. But what I got first was like she was shining this so someone else could follow it in. There's the 7. 8. Oh, that's fabulous. That is fabulous. The 9. Oh. And the 10. Oh my goodness. Look at this. I think that's a symbol of Idle No More, which is an indigenous North American activist group. There's the Page of Air, the Knight, the Queen. Look at the bee. And the Elder. These are just beautiful. And then we have Earth. I love that the Ace is a sprouting seed. Look at the 2 with the arms. Oh my gosh. Juggling lots of things. Lots of arms to juggle with. There's the 3. Oh, I love the fox. Collaboration, we certainly get that. Here's the 4. She's like sitting on all these seeds so nobody can get them. And she's kind of stopping their growth. Interesting. There's the 5. She's definitely looking bereft. The 6. Wow. Seven, the 8. All these things that she's growing. The 9, look at the abundance. I love the pine cones. The 10, out for the harvest. And here's the quartz. The page, the Knight. She looks like a morel mushroom, doesn't she? The Queen and the Elder. Okay. Whew, this deck is chunky. I am not looking forward to shuffling, but let's give it a blessing. It's such a beautiful deck, like all of hers are. But this one has a really special something different to it. It's not, just strictly an animal deck. It's got the fairy magic and the mer people magic. I'm looking, I didn't really see any overt Celtic references, and I did see that one Thor's hammer. Come on, here we go. But other than that, I don't really know what those references are. By air and fire may you be purified and charged. Just leave them spread out. And by water and earth may you be blessed and made whole. Let's give the book a little bit of 1-2. And by the sound of the bell, may the spirit awaken. All right, guides and guardians, allies and ancestors. Oops, I didn't put my little Bastet back. Welcome, thank you. Help me bring a good message forward for all of my viewers today, and big blessings to my wonderful daughter Morgana, who has contributed so many decks to my collection. It's so funny because every once in a while I get a glimmer of how my kids have been talking. When I've been looking to get rid of some stuff and thinking about, I'm just going to get rid of this, and I said something and they both went, no, don't you dare. It's like they've been talking about the things that they want when I die. So I've been giving them stuff before I die because, I want to get rid of it, and why not enjoy it now? I offer fresh water. I offer the fire of Azrael to my many wonderful guides and guardians. And I mean, look at this. Like I said, I can't get my hand fully around the deck. I can do half, but it really, it can be done if you got some skill, but not well done. So you know what we do? And then do you see the little bend? This is what I don't like about Hay House cardstock. I just really don't like it. I can't really think of anything that I like about it. It is like shuffling heavy, heavy, heavy cardboard, which is what it is. It's a shame, it really is a shame. The edges of the cards don't feel comfortable. And it really is the sole reason that I don't reach for the MJ Cullinane decks as often as I would like to, because it's uncomfortable. And you see how, when I did the full deck, I'm going to try the full deck again just to show you what I mean. I have a connective tissue disorder, if you haven't been watching me for a while, called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And it means I am too stretchy. My connective tissues are too stretchy, which makes my joints collapse like that. And when I'm doing this and my fingers are spread out and I'm trying to hold on, my joints can collapse, and it just makes it really uncomfortable to do. All right, so after this bunch of shuffles, let's take a look. Look at how they're bent. Hey, house. All right. So let's do a reading for the collective. I would do it for my daughter, but she has access to me all the time, and she doesn't watch my videos. So for the collective, what do we need to know today to bring our best selves forward? Okay, they're telling me that's the last time. All right. We have the Ten of Water. We have the Lovers. Ooh, this is starting off well. And then we have the Five of Air. Well, and then it takes a turn. All right, let me get my little guys out of the way here. Or, alternatively, I could move the frickin' cards down. Here is the Seven. Okay, wow, that's crazy. It's so funny because the Five of Air came up, and for the longest time, the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords were the two cards in the deck that just kind of confounded me. I didn't understand them. And the way I initially interpreted them was the Five, and this was from the Hanson Roberts deck, the Five was an either-or proposition, seeing something as win-lose, and you need to change your perspective of it, just, victory or defeat. And the Seven was somebody's getting away with something, which, that's what it is. It's the card of betrayal. But since then, I've really come to understand the Five of Swords as the bullying card, or the sore winner card of I won and I'm going to make it miserable for you. You lost, but I'm the poor sport. Okay. So it's funny that those both come up. Then we have the Knight of Fire, and we have the Devil. Good. So we have water, we have air, we have fire, and we have a court, and we have a major. Here we go. Let's go intuitively first. Ten of Water. So look at this beautiful expression of joy and celebration and hope. Wow, look at, the sun comes out, there's rainbows, the flowers are blooming. Look at that beautiful hummingbird. We are here together. The lotuses are blooming. Everything is full, abundant, and it's joyful. Then we have the Lover's card of attraction here. And then we have the Five of Air. Okay, hold on. So the Lovers, it's easy to go to a relationship. Let's have a happy relationship or attraction, what that means. But it can also just talk about that energy of what we love, of what we're trying to bring into our lives, of what we pursue, of what we find worth pouring our love into. So, but then we've got this Five of Air. This is kind of the ha card. Look at her face. Oh, I won, you lost. So I am going to go to the book here and start with the Ten of Water. One late afternoon, a couple of fairies were on the beach visiting a sister who had left the land to become a mermaid. Tears of joy rolled down their faces as they waved hello. A great deal of time went by since the last time they saw each other. When their sister decided to become a mermaid, the fairies didn't understand or welcome the news, and there was a good deal of hurt feelings all around. As time passed, the trio discovered that they will always remain friends, that the love they shared for one another did not change with the addition of some scales and fin. They had relaxed into their positions and put aside any hostility to restore peace and rebuild the relationship. So an interesting nuance to the Ten of Cups is reconciliation, is reconnection. Welcoming, that an expansion of a bond. And the Lovers can talk about that too, a bond that you have. The Ten of Water brings to your heart feelings of joy and harmony. If you've been at odds with your family members, it may be time to call a truce, reunion, that's the word I'm looking for. Time to call a truce and focus your energy on finding common ground that will help rebuild your relationship. Let the power of this card create feelings of peace so that your spirit is free to create a space that fosters strong bonds and relationships with those closest to you. The Ten of Water brings blessings and offers feelings of abundance. We feel most at ease in this energy. Use this energy to reconnect with those you may have drifted away from. The time is right to pull them near and re-establish peace. So yes, reunion, reconciliation. It's beyond relationship. It talks about relationships that have broken and are coming back together. So that longevity of connection. Then we get the Lovers. Big relationship. On the other side of the clearing, you hear laughter and what sounds like friends. Oh, so it looks like there's a story that tracks through here. Okay, you hear laughter and what sounds like friends gathering. You hold back and watch the trio of beautiful fairies engage with each other, not wanting to interrupt or intrude. You decide to leave as soon as it's clear you stumbled upon an intimate moment. But then an argument seems to break out between the three, and what was a lovely get-together quickly falls apart. It appears two of the fairies are in a relationship. The addition of the third fairy causes quite the disagreement regarding where each stands in the relationship. It is easy to see how temptation played against their beliefs. One of the committed fairies seems more inclined to go with the flow, whereas the other values commitment and monogamy over an afternoon tryst. It is clear you are witnessing a relationship at a crossroads. Okay, so let me finish reading. The story of these fairies may appear when you too need to make a decision that pits you against your beliefs and temptation or desire. You will need to decide the path that you can live with at the end of the day. There's a path that honors your true spirit and moral compass, and only you can choose which way it goes. The Lovers may also indicate that the time to commit to a relationship that feeds your soul is drawing near, and the time has come to be vulnerable enough to love. So this is talking more about defining what a relationship is. What do you mean when you say, I'm committed, I'm in a partnership? What is it you're looking for? So we've got that idea of reconciliation and something else coming in, but it's time to really open up and decide, what is it that I can commit to? What is it that I'm trying to attract? And then the Five of Air, which feels like kind of a non sequitur, but we'll see. One day, an unsuspecting garden fairy invited a black dahlia into their garden to help beautify the space. The pair worked well together for some time until the black dahlia decided cooperation wasn't really their thing and wanted the praise and admiration for the beautiful garden for themselves. Okay, so there's the black dahlia, or is she the black dahlia? Okay. Knowing that the garden fairy wouldn't simply pack up and leave on their own, the black dahlia began looking for an opportunity that would help them attain their goal. As the pair worked together, they noticed a flower that bore a striking resemblance to a dragon egg. Just then, the opening presented itself as a pack of dragons flew overhead. The black dahlia pointed at the fairy and called out, "They stole your egg." And with that, the dragons, seeing what they thought was an egg, swooped down and plucked the fairy up and out of the garden. Of course, only when the fairy was long gone did the black dahlia pop up and let them know they were horribly mistaken. It was just another flower. There are three stories within the Five of Air. The first is that of a lout who notices an opportunity and sees nothing wrong with hurting others to achieve the desired result. Okay. You may have received what you wanted, although it took less than honorable tactics. Leaving your reputation damaged in the end is a hollow victory that will make future success more difficult. The second position is that of the person who, through being complicit, gained some benefit from another's dishonorable act. You may not have done the dirty work, but you did reap some reward as a result. You may not have been the perpetrator, but your refusal to stand up for justice may have weakened your standing as others recognize your lack of integrity. The final position is that of the victim. Your feelings or conditions were never a consideration, and yet at the end of the day, you are the one who suffered at the hands of someone else's self-interest. Okay. This is for my daughter. I'm going to have to make her watch it. So here we have reconciliation, kind of coming home to yourself, but being able to return to a sense of joy, and talking about redefining what you want in a relationship, and then this talking about your feelings never being a consideration in the last relationship. Wow. the end of the day, you're the one who suffered. When the Five of Air is present, scrutinize your role in the situation. What was your contribution? She's already doing this. Is your focus on success so narrow that you inadvertently hurt those around you? No. However, there are times when we need to be selfish. We need to look out for our interests first. If you're in an abusive situation, you may need to use some trickery or sacrifice a small amount of integrity to break free. So this is just talking about, I think, really looking at how it changes you, how relationships can change you, and looking at how it can also clarify what it is you're after when you kind of get yourself trampled on, and discovering what your contribution is when there's a problem in any kind of relationship. Then we've got the Seven of Air. The fairy hidden in the greenery is not your ordinary fairy. They're a shapeshifter, an enchanter, and far cleverer than most give them credit for. They use their unique skill set to do things that are at times, let's just say, far from honorable, but generally not so horrific. All right, I'm going to go past the story here for the rest of them. When the Seven of Air appears, you may encounter a situation that tests your thoughts around honor or integrity, as accountability is easily hidden. Be aware of how your inner dialogue impacts your decision-making process. Are you admiring your cleverness and your independence while at the same time leaving the perception that you're self-serving and arrogant? Are you holding back out of fear of being viewed as self-serving? Okay. Talking about blaming others. This is all talking about accountability and integrity again. When used judiciously, the Seven of Air can offer help, especially if you need the courage and confidence to cut yourself from a group of disinterested and intellectual people. Okay. All right. So certainly we've got some power dynamics to work out here. And this, just looking at the picture, there's an issue, I think, of a sense of belonging. Do I belong here? Okay. Sometimes the Seven brings our attention to a situation where someone convinces themselves that they're the only ones with the skill or knowledge to handle a situation. Unfortunately, if things go south, the blame often falls on others. Those are narcissistic traits right there. Be aware that your desire to go it alone will impact others. Okay. That's a tricky one. You see how these two, this one still is kind of confounding. So just betrayal, not being honest, not dealing straight with people, looking to kind of get an advantage where you maybe didn't have one before. Then we have the Knight of Fire. These will definitely take some time. The Knight of Fire is bold, courageous, and passionate. The fire burning within this divine creature rages hot and creates a fuel that can drive a clear path to any goal, or if left unchecked, combust. This is no wishy-washy fairy, no stand on the sideline and wait to see what happens kind of creature. Oh no, his is one powerful, determined energy that will lead the way to success. Okay, so his. So we do use gendered pronouns. It made it seem like they were going to be they, them through the whole thing. Okay. This fairy may seem charming and outgoing most of the time, but passion becomes a hot temper when this energy is out of balance. Okay, so let's look at here what happens when we're taken advantage of. Oh my gosh. Ghana, you have to watch this. So when we're taken advantage of, someone takes advantage of us, we feel cut out of the herd, and that's when the Knight of Fire rears up with anger and the desire to fight back, to hurt back. Yeah? Let's go. Oh, let's look at the Devil. This is making a lot of sense now. Here we go. The Devil. There's a story the fairies tell their young as a cautionary tale at one of the most significant events in a fairy's life, when they go through a metamorphosis and gain their wings. It is when they're mature enough to receive the freedom of flight, the freedom to travel great distances. This is why it's the fairies' wings that are so special, so important. The devil lives in the most distant lake in the land. It appears from the shore as the most beautiful mermaid anyone has ever seen, and sings a song that causes those who hear it to fall into a trance. It then promises its victims that they too can live the life of a mermaid, free to explore the seas. With just a couple of snips, they would wash away all the troubles that plagued them on land. As soon as the fairy cuts off their wings and enters the sea, they realize their mistake. But it is too late, as the beautiful mermaid transforms into a hideous creature who refuses to change the fairy into a mermaid. If they even can free themselves from the monster of the lake, the fairy is now wingless and very far from home. Very few have ever returned. The devil appears in a reading as a glimpse of the future, as a warning that you may be falling for the sweet sounds coming from something that seems enticing, yet may in the end prove to be detrimental. Are you falling into an unhealthy habit? Something is going on in your life when the devil appears that needs your attention. You may be looking to avoid a difficult situation, and a comforting tune may lead you down a path that in the end will only cause even more issues in the future. So, the joy of bonding and being in a relationship with someone, of reconciling, of being able to see a relationship through tough times and reconcile. And then who am I in a relationship? What am I looking for? And then we've got this, being betrayed, and the anger that comes up, and the desire to hit back. And also looking at a new relationship coming in, we've got to get rid of any lingering anger or that competitive, kind of thing. Because at the bottom of it, we have to heal old relationship things, or they are what will lead us into a bad one again. And look, there's the wings. Looking at how the attraction to someone itself, being attracted, can cause you to change who you are at times. And then suddenly you wake up and find that your wings have been clipped, and you think, how did I let this happen? And I know plenty of people are familiar with this situation. I can't tell you the number of readings I've done that, my personal experience has really helped me. When someone has just come out of a really shitty relationship and they've had the realization of, it's shitty and I played a part in this, and the awareness is opening up. And what I will tell them is, another relationship will come, and usually it's a tester. It comes and it looks entirely different than the last one. So you think, this is safe, here I go. This is something entirely different, and you once again drop your guard, get pulled in, and then a little ways down the line, you'll find yourself going, how the fuck did I fall for this again? But it looked totally different, right? So it's a lesson in recognizing red flags. It's a lesson in looking to yourself to see what is that thing that makes you sort of go blind, that makes you answer the siren song, lose your mind, and then suddenly you wake up and your wings are clipped, and you're far from home. So we really, in general, in relationships, if you want healthy relationships, you got to work on yourself, and you have to look at your old ones and see how you got pulled in, and how possibly your trauma set you up to get pulled in by a particular kind of person. But the 7 and the 5 are those, energies of anger and betrayal and not dealing straight, it's kind of like the shiftiness, of people sort of showing you one thing and then changing, showing their true selves like this. Wow. But this at the top says this is what's possible, and we have to hold that ideal, but then again, we have to be careful that we're not idealizing to the point that it's impractical, and that's never going to happen, because the reality is splits happen And here's a mermaid who's coming back home, you know, saying, I made a mistake. Look, I made it with my way back home. And they are open arms welcoming them back in. You can make mistakes and come back. We can reconcile. We can heal. Fascinating. Okay. What do you guys think? I'm sure a whole bunch of you have this deck, and I would love to know what you think. Is it seems like it might be kind of a special purpose deck, but certainly Fae. And I mean, my daughter is Fae, as am I, duh. So, pardon me, I have the hiccup, something terrible. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you on my next whatever it is, whether it's a deep dive test drive or a live stream. And until then, this is Luna. Blessed be.